All right, so you're interested in this NAD plus bit, right? This molecule that's supposed to be like the key to unlocking all this energy and maybe even like, I don't know, slowing down aging.
It's definitely getting a lot of attention these days.
It is. It's everywhere. You see it in supplements, skincare, even IV drips. It's kind of wild.
Yeah.
But is it all just hype? Like, is there really something special about NAD plus dick? Or are we all just falling for some clever marketing? That's what we're here to find out. We're going to try to separate the science from the marketing. And luckily, we've got an expert here who can help us do just that.
Well, I'll do my best.
So before we get carried away with all the exciting stuff, let's just start with the basics. What exactly is NAD plus DAM? And why should we even care?
Okay, so NAD plus stands for nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide.
Catchy.
Yeah, it's a mouthful, right?
Yeah.
But really, it's a molecule that's essential for life. It's found in every single cell in your body. One way to think about it is it's like a tiny rechargeable battery that's constantly being used and recharged inside our cells. And it's involved in over 500 different cellular processes. But its main claim to fame is its role in energy production.
Wait, hold on. Over 500 processes?
Yeah,
That's a lot for one tiny molecule.
it is.
You mentioned energy production, so is that why we see it being marketed as an energy booster?
Yeah, that's part of it. You know those mitochondria?
Yeah.
The powerhouses of our cells?
Yeah.
They convert the food we eat into usable energy.
Right.
Well, NAD+ is a crucial coenzyme in those reactions. So without enough of it, those mitochondria, they can't function as well, and you start to feel, that energy slump.
Oh, okay. So it's
Yeah.
like the NAD plus is the fuel that keeps our cellular engines running. I'm starting to see why it's getting so much attention, but I've also heard that NAD plus levels naturally decline as we age.
That's right.
Is that part of the reason why we tend to feel less energetic as we get older?
Yeah, you're spot on. Research shows that NAD+ levels do go down with age. It's like our cellular batteries, they gradually lose their ability to hold a charge, basically. And this decline in NAD+ level, it's linked to all sorts of age-related changes, including reduced energy levels, increased susceptibility to disease, and even accelerated aging.
Okay, so it's not just about feeling a bit more pep in our step.
Right.
This decline in NAD plus sounds like it has some pretty serious implications for our health and how long we live. Is there anything we can do to slow down or even reverse this decline?
That's the exciting part. While we can't completely stop aging, there's more and more evidence that we can influence how we age, and NAD+ is right at the forefront of this research because of its crucial role in how well our cells function.
All right, I'm all ears. What are some of these strategies that are being looked at to either maintain or boost NAD plus levels? Is it as simple as, just taking a supplement?
Well, there are different approaches, each with its own, quirks.
Mm.
Supplementation is one route, but it's more complicated than just grabbing any NAD+ pull off the shelf. We'll get into the specifics of that a bit later, but first, there's some other really interesting things that NAD+ does in the body. It's not just energy. It's involved in some pretty amazing processes that really impact our health in some big ways.
Oh, okay. You've got me hooked.
Yeah.
Tell me more about these other roles. What else does NAD plus do besides helping those mitochondria make energy?
Well, one of the most interesting things about NAD+ is its role in DNA repair.
DNA repair.
Yeah. Our DNA is constantly under attack from all kinds of things like, UV radiation from the sun, toxins in the environment, and even just normal processes inside our bodies. And these attacks can damage our DNA, leading to mutations and potentially contributing to age-related diseases like cancer.
So our DNA, it's like this delicate instruction manual that's constantly being exposed to wear and tear. And NAD plus is kind of like the repair crew that comes in and fixes the damage.
Exactly. NAD+ is crucial for activating these enzymes called PRPs.
ARPs.
Yeah, they play a key role in repairing those damaged DNA strands. And without enough NAD+, those repair mechanisms, they just don't work as efficiently, and our DNA becomes more vulnerable to damage.
That's amazing. It's like NAD plus is a guardian of our genetic code, protecting it from, all the damage that comes with just living.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And there's more. NAD+ also activates sirtuins.
Sirtuins, I've heard of those. Aren't they like the superstars of the anti-aging world? What do they actually do? And how does NAD plus fit into the picture?
Sirtuins are really fascinating. They regulate a bunch of different cellular processes, including metabolism, DNA repair, and inflammation. Think of them as like conductors orchestrating this whole complex symphony inside our cells to keep things running smoothly and promote healthy aging.
So they're like the master regulators of our cellular health.
You got it.
But how does NAD plus tie into this?
Well, sirtuins need NAD plus to function. Like, it's the fuel that powers these longevity-promoting proteins. Without enough NAD plus, those sirtuins can't do their job as well, and the cellular symphony, it starts to go out of tune.
Okay, that's a really powerful image. So NAD plus is involved in energy production and DNA repair, but it's also crucial for activating these sirtuins that help us age healthily. It sounds like it's really essential to keeping our cells working at their best throughout our entire lives.
Exactly. And the more we learn about NAD plus LR, the more we're realizing just how central it is to staying healthy and vibrant as we age.
Okay, so now I'm really dying to know, what can we actually do to keep those NAD plus levels up as we age? Should we be running out to buy NAD plus supplements? Well, we'll get into all of that and more in part 2 of our deep dive. Okay, so we know that NAD plus is this like powerhouse molecule that's essential for energy, DNA repair, and even activating those longevity superstars, the sirtuins.
Yeah.
But knowing all that just makes me want to know more, like what can we do to actually keep those levels up as we get older? I'm ready to get practical.
I figured you might be. And you're right. It's not enough to just understand it. We want to be able to, use that knowledge. So let's get into the ways we can actually support our NAD plus levels.
All right, let's do it. I bet a lot of people listening are wondering about supplements. Is it as simple as popping a pill and calling it a day?
I wish it were that simple. But the world of NAD plus supplements is a little more complicated. See, NAD plus itself is a large, kind of fragile molecule. So when you take it orally, it doesn't get absorbed very well, and it has trouble getting to your cells where it needs to be.
So just taking a straight NAD plus supplement might not be the best way to boost our levels.
Probably not.
Good to know. So what are the alternatives?
Well, instead of directly supplementing with NAD plus wholes, we can give our bodies the building blocks to make their own. These are called NAD plus precursors, and they're much smaller molecules that can be absorbed and used by our cells more easily.
Precursors, okay. I've seen those advertised things like NR and NMN, right?
Exactly. NR stands for nicotinamide riboside, and NMN is nicotinamide mononucleotide. They're naturally found in some foods, but in small amounts, and they've become pretty popular as NAD plus boosters.
Oh yeah, they're getting a lot of hype, but are they actually effective? Like, is the science there?
That's where it gets a little tricky. There's promising research on both NR and NMN showing that they can increase NAD plus levels in animals and in some human studies. But the research is still, relatively new, and we need more long-term studies to really know for sure how well they work and what the best doses are for people.
So maybe not a guaranteed fountain of youth just yet.
Not quite.
But it sounds like there's at least some evidence that these precursors could be helpful. What about other approaches besides supplements? Can we naturally boost our NAD plus levels through lifestyle changes?
Absolutely. Lifestyle is actually crucial for maintaining healthy NAD plus levels. Remember, we're talking about a molecule that's super involved in energy production and all sorts of cellular processes. So our daily habits really do make a difference.
Okay, I'm all for that. So what kind of lifestyle changes are we talking about here?
Well, let's start with the foundation of balanced and nutritious diet. Focusing on things like fruits, vegetables, whole grains. Those foods provide the vitamins and minerals our cells need to produce NAD plus naturally.
So it's about nourishing our cells from the inside out. Makes sense. But what about exercise? Does that have any impact on our NAD plus levels?
Oh, definitely. Regular exercise, especially aerobic exercise, has been shown to increase NAD plus levels in muscles. It's like giving your cells a workout, too, and it helps them use NAD plus more efficiently.
So hitting the gym isn't just about building muscles, it's also about keeping our cellular powerhouses in top shape. What about sleep? We all know how important sleep is, but does it affect NAD plus as well?
You bet. Sleep is super important for those cellular repair processes, and that includes replenishing NAD plus levels. If we don't get enough sleep, those NAD plus levels can take a hit, leaving our cells feeling kind of depleted and sluggish.
Ugh, sleep the ultimate reset button. I'm all for that.
Yeah.
But what about stress? We all know that chronic stress can be bad for us. Does it affect our NAD plus levels too?
Unfortunately, yes. When we're stressed out all the time, our bodies are constantly in this fight or flight mode, which just burns through our energy and can lower NAD plus levels. So finding healthy ways to manage stress, meditation, yoga, spending time in nature, those things can make a real difference.
It all comes back to that mind-body connection, doesn't it?
It does.
Our mental and emotional well-being is linked to our physical health, even at the cellular level. Okay, what about intermittent fasting? I know that's a big trend these days. How does that tie into NAD plus, Bert?
Studies have shown that intermittent fasting can activate those sirtuins we were talking about. And remember, sirtuins need NAD plus to work properly. So by, having those periods of not eating, we might be able to encourage our bodies to use NAD plus more efficiently and maybe get some of those anti-aging benefits.
So it's not just what we eat, but when we eat that matters.
That's pretty interesting. I'm noticing a pattern here. All these lifestyle changes that are good for NAD plus are also just generally good for our health.
Exactly. It really supports the idea that taking care of ourselves, holistically healthy habits, supporting our body's natural processes, that's the foundation for healthy aging.
It's good to know that we have more control over our health than we might think. It's not just about finding some magical cure-all, but about making those positive changes that help our bodies thrive.
I agree. It's about working with our bodies, not against them.
Okay, so we've covered supplements and lifestyle changes, but what about those people who are looking for something a bit more, I don't know, targeted? Are there any other interventions besides supplements or IV therapy that seem promising for boosting NAD plus nourishment?
There are a couple of emerging areas of research that are pretty exciting. Scientists are looking into NAD plus boosters that work differently than traditional supplements.
Oh, interesting. What kind of boosters are we talking about? One approach is using molecules that inhibit the enzymes that break down NAD plus sign.
Uh-huh.
So by blocking those enzymes, we might be able to slow down how quickly our NAD plus levels decline naturally.
So like putting the brakes on NAD plus depletion.
Exactly. It's a different approach than trying to directly ramp up production. And there's also a lot of interest in developing NAD plus precursors that are absorbed better by the body, to address some of those concerns around oral supplements.
Interesting. So it's all about finding ways to use and absorb NAD plus as efficiently as possible. Feels like we're on the brink of some really cool new anti-aging stuff.
It's a really exciting time to be following this research, that's for sure. There's so much innovation, and the potential is huge.
All right, I'm officially on board. But with all this talk about boosting NAD plus psi, I have to ask, are there any potential downsides or risks to increasing our levels? Like, can you have too much of a good thing?
That's a really important question, and it's one of the reasons we need more research. While increasing NAD plus naturally through lifestyle changes is generally considered safe, the long-term effects of some of those newer things, like the enzyme inhibitors or high-dose supplements, those are still being investigated.
So proceed with caution and a healthy dose of skepticism, like with any new scientific finding.
Absolutely. It's always best to be informed and make decisions based on the best available science and, guidance from healthcare professionals.
That's great advice. We've got to balance our enthusiasm with, critical thinking and respect for how complex our bodies are.
Couldn't agree more.
It's amazing how one molecule can be so important for our health and how long we live.
It really shows how connected everything is in our bodies and why it's so important to approach our health holistically.
So true. Well, before we get too philosophical here, I have one more question. We've talked about NAD plus and energy, DNA repair, sirtuin activation, but what about its effects on specific organs or systems? Like, are there areas where the research is particularly promising?
That's a great question, and it leads us into some of the most exciting areas of research. Let's start with the brain.
The brain, always a fascinating topic.
For sure. Remember, NAD plus is all about energy production at the cellular level, and the brain is an energy hog. So naturally, NAD plus is really important for keeping our brains healthy.
Makes sense. So how does NAD plus affect brain function?
Research suggests that having enough NAD plus in the brain might help protect against cognitive decline, improve memory, and even help with neuronal plasticity.
Wow, so it could potentially help keep our brains sharp and adaptable as we age.
That's what we're hoping. And there's some really interesting research to support that idea. For example, in animals, they've found that increasing NAD plus can actually improve cognitive function and lower the risk of neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's.
That's incredible. It's like we're giving our brains this boost of vitality.
And it might not just be about preventing decline. Research suggests NAD plus could even help repair damage that's already there, which is potentially huge for people who are already experiencing cognitive problems.
Now that is remarkable. It really opens up some incredible possibilities for treating neurological disorders.
It does. And it's not just the brain that benefits. NAD plus seems to play a big role in heart health, too.
The heart, another vital organ, I'm seeing a theme here. NAD plus is key for keeping our essential organs working at their best.
Exactly. The heart, just like the brain, needs a constant supply of energy to work right, and NAD plus is essential for that energy production process.
So specifically, how does NAD plus support heart health?
Studies have shown that maintaining good NAD plus levels can improve how the heart functions, protect it from damage, and even promote new blood vessel growth, which is essential for good blood flow to the heart muscle.
So boosting NAD plus is kind of like giving our hearts a tune-up.
I like that analogy. And there's even some evidence that it might help reverse some of those age-related changes in the heart, potentially slowing down cardiovascular aging.
That is groundbreaking. It sounds like NAD plus research is pushing the boundaries in both brain and heart health, which could have huge implications for how we age and how we treat age-related conditions.
It's a really exciting field with a ton of potential, and the research is constantly moving forward, leading to new discoveries and potential therapies.
It's amazing how much we've learned about NAD plus and how it affects our health, but it feels like we've only just begun to explore its potential.
I agree. There's still so much we don't know, and that's what makes it so fascinating.
Yeah.
Every new discovery leads to even more questions and avenues for exploration.
Well, on that note of endless possibilities, I think we should wrap up this part of our deep dive. But don't worry, we'll be back for one last segment where we'll delve into some even more mind-blowing aspects of NAD plus research. All right, so we're back for the final part of our NAD plus deep dive. We've covered so much ground already: its role in energy, DNA repair, its impact on the brain and heart, all that good stuff. But now I think it's time to address the elephant in the room, the question that's probably been on everyone's mind since we started this whole conversation.
I know where you're going with this.
Can boosting NAD plus actually help us live longer?
Ah, yes, the age-old quest for longevity.
Exactly. Humans have been searching for the fountain of youth forever, and now NAD plus is like this potential player in the game.
So what does the science say? Is there any actual evidence that NAD plus could extend our lifespans?
Well, like with most things related to aging, it's complicated, but there's a growing body of evidence from animal studies suggesting that increasing NAD plus levels might actually influence lifespan. Animal studies, okay. Tell me more about those. What kind of results are we talking about?
So in sawdust studies, they found that boosting NAD plus levels in organisms like worms, flies, even mice actually led to pretty significant increases in their lifespans. It's like they were able to slow down aging at a really basic level.
Wow, that's pretty incredible, but we're talking about animals here. Does that really translate to humans? Can we expect to see the same kind of results?
That's the big question. And honestly, we don't have a definitive answer yet. We can't just assume that what works in animals will work the same way in humans. But it's still super exciting because it suggests that NAD plus plays a fundamental role in how we age, and that's consistent across different species.
Okay, so even though we can't definitively say that boosting NAD plus will make humans live longer, these animal studies definitely give us some reason to be hopeful.
Yeah.
Is there any research being done on humans in this area?
Absolutely. Researchers are currently running clinical trials to look at the effects of NAD plus boosters on different aspects of aging in humans, including lifespan. It's a really rapidly evolving field, so it'll be really interesting to see what these studies tell us over the next few years.
It seems like we're on the edge of a whole new way of thinking about aging.
Yeah.
Instead of just accepting that we're going to decline, we might actually be able to, change the course of aging, potentially living longer and healthier lives.
Exactly. That's the dream, right? To not just live longer, but to live better for longer. And understanding how NAD plus works in the aging process could be a really big part of that.
Okay, so let's just imagine for a second that boosting NAD plus does turn out to be a way to extend lifespan. What would that mean for the world? Are we even ready for a world where people could potentially live much longer?
Now, that's a huge question that goes way beyond just the science. It brings up all kinds of ethical and social and economic questions. Like, if we could significantly extend human lifespan, we'd have to rethink everything: healthcare, retirement, even how we structure our lives. It would be a massive change.
Yeah, it's almost impossible to really grasp all the potential implications, but for now, it's still theoretical. We'll just have to wait and see what the research shows us. But even if we put aside this idea of living forever, it's clear that keeping our NAD plus levels healthy is really important for our overall health and well-being throughout our lives.
Totally agree. It's about making sure our cells are functioning well, supporting our body's natural processes, and just giving ourselves the best chance to be healthy and vibrant at every age.
Well said. So as we wrap up our NAD plus deep dive, what's your main takeaway? What do you want our listeners to remember?
I think the most important thing to remember is that NAD plus is a remarkable molecule. It's essential for life, and it plays a huge role in how we age. We're still figuring out all its secrets, but the research so far is incredibly promising, and it could totally change how we think about health and aging in the future.
It's been an amazing journey, and it reminds us that science is constantly pushing forward, changing what we know, and opening up new possibilities for how we live.
I agree. It's an exciting time to be alive. I can't wait to see where NAD plus research takes us next.
Well, on that note of optimism and limitless potential, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive. But before we say goodbye, we have one last thought for you to consider. We've explored all the science, the potential benefits, the things we still don't know, all of it. Now it's your turn to think about what this knowledge means for you. How can you use this information in your own life? What steps can you take to support your NAD plus levels and improve your well-being? Remember, it's not about finding some magical pill. It's about making informed choices and being proactive about your health. Keep learning, keep those brains buzzing, and stay curious about the world of science and discovery. Until next time, be well.